Welcome back to the Master Jeweler Man channel, where I teach you to become a beginner jeweler to a master. This is our second part of our pendant here that we're going to finish. So basically, I've put this in a pickle for a little bit, but I want to refine it a little. So I'm going to take my file and file some of the edges in here, use my little files, and I'm also going to use my sandpaper and sanding stick, which, here's my sanding stick. I don't have any sandpaper on it at the moment, but I'm going to put some on there. And let's just clean this up to begin with before we really get into it. And once it gets all cleaned up, then we'll go from there. So, okay, as you can see, I've cleaned this up, and basically all I did was use like a wire brush like this, scrubbed it. If you want to be quicker, you can use something like this. And then I've also used this sandpaper stick. I've actually put a piece of sandpaper on it, and I've actually held it and went into the angles, you know, where the wire brush wouldn't go, and then just file it with you know, with just some handwork. And then make sure you get your edges too. Now you notice it's off a little here, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my actual file and file this down and make it more square, which, by the way, you can do at any point in time. Just take your file, the big one that I was telling you about, and then just start filing it at an angle and then get it pretty much squared out. So we're going to do that right now. Alright, so we refined the edges and made it a little bit more square, and as you can see, it's getting pretty shiny, but it's not exact. We've got a lot of marring and stuff, so there's actually a kind of like a pit here, and then some scruff and some scruff over here, and maybe a little right there. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out how to get rid of this. And the best way to do it, believe it or not, besides filing, is something called a I can't think of the name for the second. I don't know why. Sorry, had to think for a second. A satin finish wheel. So we're going to actually take this over to the buffer, and then we're going to finish this up. Alright, so we got our satin finish wheel. And this is a medium grade. And we're basically going to start with the edges. Make sure you wear your eye protection, by the way. Here's my eye protection here. So you're going to want to use that to at least keep stuff from hitting you in the face. And we're going to hit all these edges as best as we can. When I get done, I'm actually going to show you a close-up of what it looks like when it's done. We're going to work with this for probably about 3 to 5 minutes. It's not going to be an instant process. It's going to take you some time going back and forth. So that being said, I'm actually going to pause this for a minute. Okay, so I've pretty much sat and finished this, and you can see it's getting really refined now. It's a whole lot cleaner than it was. This is the stage where any other work you're going to do, you're going to want to do it. And what we're going to do is, this top piece here, we need to put a bar and a ring across it. Basically, so, you know, you can hang it from a chain as a pendant piece. It hasn't even been polished or anything, so this is what we want. We want a rough sketch of basically our piece, which is this. And here's the hard part. You see these square edges, and you notice how this pendant doesn't have square edges. It's kind of a knife edge. Well, guess what? You're going to take about an hour to file each piece. And this is where your big file and your medium file come into play. And you're literally going to sit here, hopefully, like I said, you've got a benchmate like this. And you're going to want to put the piece in the benchmate. And this is going to be pretty solid. So at this point, you're pretty much going to take your piece here, and you're going to sit here and file. For quite a long time. So that being said, let me go ahead and do that process, and then basically show you from here what we're gonna end up with these filed edges, and then we'll get into the other piece. Okay, so we've pretty much refined the edge here. As you can see, I've made it pretty close to you know, like a point, and everything's been refined. I've filed at an edge all the way around. Took me 8 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, of a specific angle and holding the piece. My arms are pretty much wore out, but as you can see, that's exactly what we want, you know, for a piece like this. And this hasn't been polished in a long time, but you can see it's the same kind of edge. The look is very close to each other. I don't think I'm going to put any stones in the eyes right now like I did here with wire and all this. This is a little bit bigger. You know, you can tell it's larger. So I needed some kind of detail because it was so large. But this is actually pretty damn cool by itself. And you know, you could wear it this way and people will see that, which is kind of cool if you're religious. And then you can also wear it this way, and it kind of looks like a African tribe mask. So I'm going to go for that kind of look and basically polish this up. Let me get set up, and we'll drill a hole here and do some more filing work, you know, live, and then we'll see how this gets refined, and then we're going to polish it and then finish it up, and it's going to be a complete piece at this point. So that's pretty much the look you're going to get. It's pretty damn interesting, you know, how you can just take a solid piece of silver and just create something that no one's ever seen, and when you wear it they go, what in the world? So let's go ahead and set that drill up. Okay, so I've pretty much decided to use my 16 gauge wire, which I'll show you here, that I've put a point to the one end, so it's kind of pointy on one end, which is exactly what you want. And then as you can see here, as I measure it, it's about 1.2 millimeter, so it's a little bit under 16 gauge. It's probably like a 17 gauge, but it's pretty damn close. And what we're actually going to do, I'm going to move this over here, see if I can get it to stand where I want. Alright, it's good enough. What I'm going to want to do is take this and put this piece of wire that I've cut through the top right here, so there's a ring that I can hang it off of that we're going to make, and set this in here, you know, so there's a bail basically. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use a small ball burr like this. It's basically, let me see if I can get it to focus, it's basically 1 millimeter. So this is big enough to start, and you're going to start by holding it pretty much, you know, at an angle, probably about 1/4 inch down. You're going to want to use some of this Pro Cut lube. Put a little on your finger so you have it there. So you get it started just like that. And once you get this thing started, at this point you're going to turn it over. We can fix that. Alright, so now that we got this done, I'm going to get some more of this lube. Put some more lube on there. Go slow, push kind of hard. Get a little bit more lube. I don't know why the light is messing up. So once I get through, that's pretty much good to go. I'm having electrical problems here. Alright, so this is good. It's all the way through. And we're going to go on the other side and do the same thing. Put a little bit more lube. Alright. We're all the way through, which is a good thing. We want to be all the way through. And we're basically going to take our piece of wire at this point. Now, it's not going to go all the way through. So, what we're going to have to do is use my most favorite jeweler's tool, which is the crossburr. See if I can get this thing to focus really good. Alright, so we're going to go straight in at a slow RPM. You'll see it come out of the other side. That's what you want. You want it to basically foul the inside pieces. And then you can actually go on the inside, follow the edges. Which is what we need, and we need to follow this edge too, by the way. See how it looks a lot better now. So we've got our piece cut. Let's see if it fits in. It should. You know, you should. Oh, there we go. If I can get it started with my hand, I know pretty much it's going to go all the way through. You know, so you're going to want to get your with the teeth, that kind of plier, and you're going to want to force it through all the way. And as you can see, it's been completely forced through, and it's in there. I mean, this isn't going to come out. So I'm going to start with the cutters that I actually cut straight. And we're going to go right on the angle and then chop that off. So as you can see there, it's ready to go. And pretty much at that point, all you got to do is take your file. Let me get this thing to focus here. There. Take your file and you want to just hold it on the bench pin and basically file this down. And as you file it, it literally, let's see if I can get kind of close here for you to see. It literally disappears into the material. You don't even need to solder it. You know, as you can see on this side, it's flipped out. You know, same thing over here. But as you can see, let me get this thing to focus. I think that'll focus. There we go. As you can see, it's pretty much disappeared. So I'll just sand this down, and then when you polish it, you won't even see it anymore. No solder required. And we're going to get a ring a piece of metal like that square piece, put it in here, and then solder it shut, and then finish that off. So let me get to that point right now so I can show you what's going on. So what we're going to do is finish this up. I've found some square wire, and we're going to use our broad tip instead of our thin tip, as you remember from last time. But before I do that, this edge right here is kind of sharp. So what I'm going to do is actually cut it flush like that. Now we're going to use our bottom part, and we're just going to rotate this around until we get a nice circle piece like that, and then we're going to cut it ever so gently. And just make sure you finish off this one piece right here so it's nice and squared. And then as you can see, I've already got this ready. So we're going to take our pliers, our wide flat nose, and we're going to hold that a little sideways. We're going to get this piece in here. Alright, so we've got this in here, and we've got it squared out. And then basically what I'm going to do is take my round pliers, and I want to make it as even as I can, even if I got to pull this piece up. I'm going to make that nice and squared. There we go. Nice and squared. Alright, so now that we got our ring on there, we're actually going to solder this. So let's get that set up. Okay, we got that all squared out. So we're going to move this stuff out of the way, and then we're going to go ahead and get our torch started. I still have the number 5 tip on. You can still do a small little piece here, even with the number 5 tip. You still want to just bring it down to a small little flame instead of a giant flame. We're going to get our solder. This is all the solder we need, just a tiny little bit, and I'm going to bring it right on there. Let's get it to flow. Come on. Flow. Maybe a little bit larger of a blue flame. Alright, starting. Come on. Flow on there. Gonna bring a little bit more oxygen in to really get it to flow. Come on. It still doesn't want to flow. Sometimes you run into problems like this. I'm going to use a little bit more flux. I already put flux on it, but I'm going to use more. That should do it. And I'm just using a medium solder, by the way. Alright, so I'm going to put even a larger flame. I'm going to heat down below because I think it's pulling a lot of the heat away from the solder. And now it's starting slowly. Still doesn't want to flow. We're going to heat this piece up a little bit more. There we go. Now it's starting to flow. Alright. Sometimes it literally takes this long, if not longer, to get it to flow. There we go. There we go. Literally had to put it directly on the solder to get it to flow down. Alright, so that's taken care of. Now that that piece is done, all we're going to do is basically polish it at this point. So, let me get it to focus here. So this piece right here is super hot, but as you can see, we've got the ring. Hold on, let me get it to focus. We've got the ring completely soldered. You can put this back in the pickle and let that ring clean up, but I'm just going to basically clean it up real quick, and then we're going to go into the polishing stage at this point, and then we're going to see what we come out with. Okay, we did a little bit more filing here, and basically you're going to use your robo grips, as I call them, but they're parallel pliers, and find your solder joint. And what you're going to want to do is put that on the bottom, and then take these and actually get it just right on the piece like this. And you're going to want to slowly push until you ovalize it. So that's pretty much a perfect oval, as you can tell. It's the same on both sides. It's oval enough. There's enough for a chain to go through here. Now all that's left is basically just polishing this piece up, and when this gets polished up, it's going to look very nice. You're going to be able to wear it this way and as well as this way. This way looks like a face, this way looks like a cross. So it really depends on what you want to do. I mean, you can set stones in for the eyes, bars across, wire leading. This is just a basic design from my actual pendant piece that I've created, and when I wear this piece, you can tell it hasn't been polished in a long time, but it's still fairly shiny compared to this one. I've gotten a lot of compliments. People that see me wear this go, "Where did you get that?" And I go, "Well, I made it." And then they go, "What?" And then I have to basically explain to people how I made it. So this is how you make it from, you know, that solid piece of bar that we started with, which is exactly what you want. You want to start with a solid piece of bar, draw it out on paper, and then once you get it all cut out and then refined, you're going to take this and then polish it, and it's going to be an amazing piece. So let's go from there. Okay, I've polished it, and as you can see, it's pretty damn shiny. It's got my fingerprints on it. It's so damn shiny. You can refine this and make it even better than that, but this is pretty much your refined product, and this is what you're going to end up with using your buffing wheels. And you can tell it's even shinier than this piece. There's a lot more scratches because of the silver content, but this is done, so we can stick our chain through there, and that's our pendant. So there you go, from beginning to end. Please don't forget to subscribe, and let's see what happens in the next project. See you next episode.